Boing.
Nehru's love! What happened to our house?
Oh, it's unfinished. Needs an update.
That babble you just let jettison from your mouth, what did it mean?
Oh, this is where our house ends for now, abruptly. But after the HOA releases an update, it'll continue.
Since when?
Oh, here it is. Huh, that's not what I was expecting.
It's a toilet at the end of our hallway!
Yeah, they probably should have just finished the house when they built it.
There isn't even a door! This is just a toilet at the end of our hall!
Guess that happens sometimes with endings. They're unexpected, but still underwhelming.
Start the review, now! I need context behind your stupid metaphor, James, before I flush you down our new toilet!
Enter a pixelated cyberpunk world of mechanical enhancements, neon signs, holographic screens, and one single flying car. Good thing that car belongs to you.
The world of, we will pronounce this wrong no matter how it looks, Anno Mutationem, is full and vibrant as it takes on this mix of 2D on 3D graphics. Each and every character takes on a Paper Mario-like look and feel as they interact with a polygonal world which comes with its own interesting takes on character conversations, progression through the game, and shifting background elements. Although I'm fairly sure this is a glitch.
Characters, enemies, and elements of the world pop out in this special mix of art styles that make it easy to determine what has items in it and what needs the shit kicked out of it.
You take on this unique game as Anne, a human-looking battle droid, or a battle droid shaped like a human, never figured out which it was, that lost her memories somewhere down the line, who also suffers from a disease known as intangibility. How do you say this?
Entangle-itis.
Intangibility. She suffers from not being touchable. Not a bad disease to have.
No, entangle-itis. It makes the plot move on to the next point after she passes out, but characters in the world say it makes her go berserk.
That's convoluted. Anyway, Anne suffers from fall down, go to sleep, be dragged to the next point in the story disease, and her brother, Ryan, goes off to attempt to find a cure. One problem, however, he has not returned. Worried about her brother's condition, Anne takes a job as a private investigator for the Scop City Police Department.
What Anne finds along her trek to her brother is a series of enigmatic overlords and groups, a series of emails and text conversations to increase the secrecy and confusion of the story, and a reality-warping little girl that completely upends the plot in its entirety.
The cyberpunk-based story of this game is completely shrouded in an ever-growing mystery that deepens steadily every time you find these emails and text conversations. Important names of anything are omitted throughout the game, making it very hard to keep track of what's going on in each one and why you should care. The big bads don't even use names that aren't single letters anyway, so there wasn't even a point in redacting them.
You'll find these tablet and computer conversations throughout the game that will try to explain things to you, but it just bloats the mystery and eventually you stop looking for them altogether. If you want an explanation for any of what's going on, wait until the end of the game. The final NPC you can converse with will explain absolutely everything in about 3 conversations. All names in place, even the single letter ones. All enigmatic overseers mentioned, all alternate dimensions divulged. It makes seeking out the tablets and computers rather useless. At least that's what I found to be the case. I scoured each area for conversations and walls of text and email so I could understand what the fuck I was doing.
The plot may be a mass of questions and confusion, but at least the characters that populate the world are rather annoying. Ayane, Anne's hacker/real person girlfriend operating as a hologram that sometimes has mass and weight while being a hologram, is rather irritating as well. The only passable character is Corn Juice Guy, and even he has an annoying quirk about him. He'll only sell you 5 of each of his healing items, and each one bought increases the price of the next. You're spending over 500 credits or coins on items that heal 50 HP. That's insane!
When you're not getting stuck on pesky environmental debris and changing outfits to strut into a club to interrogate a guy, you can switch to the platformer part of the game. The part where you jump, dash, and kick ass. Use B to jump, A to dodge, Y to use your quick attack weapon, and X to use your heavy weapon. ZR will fire your equipped gun. Press in the right stick to activate your weapon wheel for quick weapon changing on the go. L is to guard too. There are a range of attacks you can pull off by using the control stick in conjunction with your X and Y attacks.
Hey, why does the combo counter disappear so fast? You barely have time to get an enemy into the air, jump, then smack him again before it disappears.
Oh, I learned early on to ignore that. It means absolutely nothing, specifically when taking into account how often you need to use the big heavy sword. You see, most enemies have an armor meter, and that meter needs breaking. How you do that is by beating enemies with the big heavy sword, knocking down the armor meter.
Are you serious? I have to put Y attacks in the pile too?
Your guns still do damage, but nothing diminishes boss armor meters and most big enemy meters like the big sword. So that will basically be the only weapon you need, even when they introduce the cool double sword that turns into a polearm thing.
This too? Come on! For good measure.
Yeah, kind of. Every time you break an enemy's armor meter, you can execute a finishing move, which is a several hit attack that does some damage. Then the break meter fills back up and you continue with the fighting. You can even hit the enemy a few more times before executing the finisher if you're quick enough.
Overall, the action platforming part of this game feels fine. It's a commercial break between portions of confusing plot and frustrating bosses that can combo attack you because your invincibility frames don't last nearly long enough. Also, healing items that activate over time instead of immediately.
The stims of this game, the main purchasable healing item of Mutationem, will heal the amount intended over a set amount of time, which means you better be really fucking good at dodging as you wait for your HP bar to fill up. If you want quick healing, stock up on the expensive corn juice. That heals you instantly, but that's the only item that does.
It's also the only item you can't craft. That's right, people! There's a crafting system! Fortunately, if you have the materials and the room in your backpack, you can craft stims during the platforming sections of the game. Simply hold down on the control pad to craft the item you've got at the forefront of your item wheel.
You can also craft weapons, but there's no real point in doing so because the materials needed to do that are so rare. You'll barely have enough for one weapon before you take on the final boss. By then, you've probably bought one of the really expensive weapons at one of the few shops you've encountered.
Hey, what are chips?
Oh, those are little upgrades you can equip to your weapons that will alter the damage they do to elemental enemies. But they never seem to make a difference, so I just equipped random ones to each weapon hoping they'd come in handy at some point. I don't know if they ever did.
Oh my goodness. And what's the circular meter in the top corner?
Rage meter lets you take advantage of Anne's entangleitis to transform into an angry alternate version of her for about 3 seconds, then you revert back to regular Anne.
So, the thing that makes her pass out, the player can just turn it on and off like a light switch with no consequences?
I suppose when 65% of your game can be easily ignored, introducing magic and reality manipulation as a plot point seems like logical progression at this point.
But then, why include any of it if none of it matters? That pile is getting huge!
This never felt like a true cyberpunk story. Sure, it started as one, looks like one, and will constantly remind you of how mechanical the world is, but it takes so many steps to introduce completely different subgenres of sci-fi and fantasy that it all just falls apart. Everything can look as cybernetic and neon as it wants, but then you introduce magic and a dragon into the mix, both of which have no cybernetic enhancements on them or cyberpunk reason to exist. Nothing else seems to matter. This game can't get out of its own way and really should have just stuck to one thing. 2D or 3D, investigative adventure or action platformer, sci-fi or fantasy. None of it was done poorly, but none of it is memorable either. This is a very lukewarm experience.
Yeah, the unique look of the game is the only thing that drew us in, but that was really it. Anno Mutationem has a good look to it, but not much more beyond that. Perhaps this game needed a few more months in development before release. That would have given them time to polish the story, remove or fix unnecessary mechanics, and, wait, release the full ending? What?
Oh yeah, the release version didn't have the full ending of the game. An update after release added a new ending branch and extended the original ending.
Another fine reason to delay release. Thanks to that, we now have a toilet in our hallway. Wonderful!
Hey, at least it flushes.
Are you using it right now?
No.
That toilet is going right out the window. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this review. What did you think of Anno Mutationem? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to follow us for more content and share this video with other Anno fans. Gather a legion of them, bring them here, assail our comments with even more thoughts on the game. Rinse, repeat. Alright, bye.